Listen, most preppers don't quit because they lose faith in the idea. They quit because they finally look at all the shit they bought and feel like an idiot. I'm talking about that moment you open your closet, stare at the pile of gear that was supposed to make you invincible, and realize you've been collecting movie props instead of building real capability. The real preppers, the ones who've lived through hurricanes, grid failures, wildfires, actual civil unrest, they don't carry most of this garbage. In fact, their kits look almost boring compared to what gets sold to beginners. Today, I'm going to show you 6 items that separate the people who know from the people who shop. And if you've got these sitting in your stash right now, you're about to save money, weight, and possibly your life by understanding why they don't actually work when it matters. Let's start with the most visible symptom of beginner prepper syndrome: Paracord bracelets. These woven wrist accessories supposedly contain 15 feet of military-grade 550 paracord ready to deploy in an emergency. Beginners love these because they feel like they're wearing survival capability without taking up pack space. The marketing is perfect. You've always got cordage on you. It's tactical looking. It comes in cool colors. And if you ever need rope, you just unravel your bracelet and boom, problem solved. Except here's what actually happens. You're working with cold hands, or you're in a rush, or it's getting dark. And untying that tight, decorative weave that's been compacted on your wrist for 6 months becomes this frustrating puzzle. That bracelet was designed to look good and sit there, not for quick deployment. By the time you get it unraveled, you could have pulled actual paracord from your bag 3 times over. I've watched someone struggle with one of these while their tarp was literally blowing away into a drainage ditch, and the look on their face when they finally got it undone and realized 15 feet wasn't even enough to reach the far tie-down point, that's the look of someone who just learned an expensive lesson. 15 feet disappears instantly when you're trying to secure a tarp, hang food from a tree, or build a shelter ridgeline. Experienced preppers carry cordage in quantity, in organized coils or hanks, stored where they can access it immediately and measure what they need. 100 feet of paracord weighs almost nothing, costs less than $5, and doesn't require you to destroy jewelry mid-crisis. The bracelet is a symbol, not a solution. Now, the survival knife with the hollow handle. You know exactly which one I'm talking about. Big, bulky grip that unscrews to reveal a tiny compartment filled with a compass, waterproof matches, fishing hook, some line, maybe a bandage. Beginners see this and think they've bought a multi-tool on steroids, a blade that doubles as a survival kit. It looks like something out of a movie, oversized, aggressive, tactical. But experienced preppers won't touch these, and the reason is pure engineering. A knife transfers force from your hand through the handle into the blade, and that transfer needs to be solid. The best knives have full tang construction, meaning the blade steel runs all the way through the handle in one unbroken piece. This makes them nearly indestructible. You can baton wood, pry things, thrust into hard materials, and the blade won't snap. Hollow handle knives have no tang or a very weak partial tang because the handle needs to be hollow. That makes them structurally fragile. The first time you put real lateral force on the blade, whether you're splitting firewood or digging, the handle can crack or the blade can separate entirely. Suddenly, your primary cutting tool is in 2 pieces, and that little compartment full of backup supplies doesn't mean much when you can't process wood or food. Beyond structural weakness, those compartments are too small to store anything useful. You get a single hook instead of an actual fishing setup, a tiny button compass instead of real navigation tools. Experts carry a solid fixed-blade knife they can trust with their life and keep their fire kit, navigation, and fishing gear in dedicated pouches where it's organized, accessible, and actually usable. The hollow handle knife fails at being both a good knife and good storage, which means it's just an expensive way to carry a tool that'll break when you need it most. Here's where it gets uncomfortable, because this one's about identity. Full camo tactical clothing. Beginners go all in. Multicam pants, tactical shirts with Velcro patches, plate carrier vests, the whole operator aesthetic. It makes sense on the surface. You want to blend into the environment. You want durable gear with lots of pockets. And you want to signal to others that you're serious and not to be messed with. But experienced preppers, especially the ones who've actually been through civil unrest or natural disasters, avoid looking tactical in public scenarios. And the reason is human psychology. In a disaster, the guy dressed head to toe in military cosplay is advertising several things at once. I have expensive gear, I probably have weapons, I think I'm in a combat zone, and I'm potentially a threat. That makes you a target for desperate people who want what you have. The gray man concept, which expert preppers embrace, is about blending into the civilian population so completely that nobody gives you a second look. You wear normal clothes in muted colors like navy, tan, or gray, stuff that's durable but unremarkable. A good pair of hiking pants and a work jacket will serve you better than anything with MOLLE webbing. You carry gear in a regular backpack, not a tactical assault pack covered in patches. The goal is to look like everyone else who's tired, moving, and trying to get somewhere safe, not like you're about to breach a building. During the 2020 protests in multiple cities, the guys in full tactical gear got confronted, filmed, followed, and in some cases had their vehicles surrounded because they looked like a threat or a prize. The people in jeans and a hoodie with the same gear and a normal backpack walked right through without a second glance. That's not theory, that's just what happens when you make yourself interesting to the wrong people. Beyond the tactical disadvantage, camo clothing is often over-designed and overpriced. You're paying extra for a pattern that only works in specific environments, and unless you're literally hiding in the woods from an armed threat, the pattern is irrelevant. A solid earth tone outfit is more versatile and doesn't scream prepper. Survival is often about not being noticed, and that's something you usually learn after an uncomfortable encounter where your gear made you the center of attention in the exact wrong way. The same logic applies to stockpiling bulk MREs, meals ready to eat, military-grade field rations. Beginners hoard these by the case because they're pre-packaged, they last for years, they need no cooking, and they've got that military credibility. If it's good enough for soldiers in combat zones, it's good enough for your emergency stash. Except MREs are designed for a very specific use case that doesn't match long-term survival or even most short-term emergencies. They're built for soldiers who are moving constantly, operating in hostile territory, and need maximum calories in minimum space with zero prep time. They're not designed for efficiency, cost, nutrition, or comfort. A single MRE costs anywhere from $8 to $12 and provides one meal. If you're feeding a family of 4 for 2 weeks, you're looking at 168 meals, which is well over $1,000 just in MREs. That same money could buy you months of rice, beans, oats, pasta, canned goods, freeze-dried vegetables, and cooking oil, all of which store just as long, if not longer, and give you far more variety in nutrition. MREs are also heavy and bulky. A case of 12 weighs around 22 pounds, and the packaging is excessive because it's designed to survive being thrown out of aircraft and bounced around in military transport. In a bug-in scenario where you're sheltering at home, that bulk is wasted space. In a bug-out scenario where every ounce matters, you'd be better off with freeze-dried meals or calorie-dense basics like peanut butter, honey, and hardtack. But here's the thing nobody talks about, and this is where it gets nasty. MREs are deliberately constipating. They're designed that way because soldiers in the field can't always take bathroom breaks safely. Eat MREs for more than a few days straight and your gut will shut down. People who've tried living off MREs during hurricane evacuations report that by day 4, they're in serious discomfort, bloated, unable to move properly, which in a survival situation where you need to stay mobile and healthy becomes a genuine medical problem. One guy made it through 3 days on nothing but MREs during a storm evacuation and said he felt like he was carrying a bowling ball in his stomach. That's not a survival advantage, that's a liability. Experts keep maybe a few MREs for grab-and-go emergencies or vehicle kits, but the bulk of their food storage is smarter, cheaper, lighter, and doesn't turn your digestive system into a brick factory. Then there's those small portable solar phone chargers, the little foldable panels marketed as emergency power solutions, perfect for when the grid is down and you need to keep communication devices charged. Beginners snap these up because it feels like free unlimited power, and keeping phones charged is legitimately important. But here's the reality. These small consumer-grade solar chargers, the ones in the $20 to $40 range, are almost useless in real-world conditions. They require direct sunlight, not just daylight, but actual unobstructed sun. And even then, the charge rate is painfully slow. A small 5-watt panel in perfect conditions might take 6 to 8 hours to fully charge a smartphone, assuming the sun angle stays optimal and no clouds roll in. In practice, you're getting inconsistent trickle charging that barely keeps up with the phone's passive drain. During a week-long blackout in the Pacific Northwest, a guy sat outside in the drizzle for 2 days with one of these things clipped to his pack, desperately checking his phone every 10 minutes while it gained maybe 2% per hour. He might as well have been rubbing it with a rabbit's foot. 2 days of drizzle for a dead phone. That's not power, that's expensive hope. These chargers also fail in the exact conditions you'd most need them. Overcast days, winter months with low sun angles, forested areas with canopy cover, urban environments with building shadows. Experienced preppers who rely on solar go bigger or go a different direction entirely. A quality 20-watt or larger foldable panel paired with a battery bank makes sense because you're charging the bank during the day and using that stored power efficiently whenever you need it. Even better, many experienced preppers prioritize reducing power needs altogether. Offline maps, written information, hand crank radios. These things don't care if it's cloudy. And if you absolutely need phone power, a small high-capacity battery bank that you keep topped off gives you multiple charges without depending on the weather cooperating. Finally, and this one's going to contradict half the content on YouTube, dedicated tactical backpacks for bug-out bags. I'm talking about those MOLLE-covered military-style assault packs in coyote tan or ranger green, covered in attachment points, admin pouches, and usually a hydration bladder compartment. Beginners build their entire bug-out philosophy around these packs. They're durable, they've got organization systems, they look serious, and they signal that you're not messing around. The problem is the same one as a tactical clothing, your advertising. A tactical backpack tells everyone within visual range that you're either military, law enforcement, or a prepper. And in a crisis scenario, that makes you interesting in all the wrong ways. People start wondering what's in that pack. People start making assumptions about whether you're a threat or a resource. Checkpoints and security forces start paying closer attention to you. You become a liability to yourself. Beyond visibility, tactical packs are often designed for specific military loadouts that don't match civilian survival needs. They're built around carrying plate carriers, helmets, ammunition, and weapon systems. The organization is meant for tactical gear, not the mix of food, water filtration, shelter, and medical supplies a civilian prepper actually needs. You end up fighting with the pack's layout, stuffing sleeping bags into compartments designed for radios, cramming food into admin pouches meant for maps and batteries. It doesn't fit right. Experienced preppers use packs that look boring. A good quality hiking backpack in a neutral color, something from Osprey or Gregory, or even a well-made school backpack, holds just as much weight, is more comfortable for long-distance carrying, has better weight distribution systems, and makes you look like every other person trying to get out of a bad situation. During the California wildfires, the people who moved through evacuation checkpoints fastest were the ones who looked like normal evacuees. The ones with tactical packs got stopped, questioned, sometimes searched, because they stood out. The pack that's supposed to help you survive became the thing that slowed them down. So what's the pattern? Every single one of these 6 items represents the same mistake: buying things that make you feel capable instead of actually building capability. The Paracord bracelet that's too short and too slow, the hollow knife that breaks under pressure, the camo outfit and tactical pack that turn you into a target, the MRE stockpile that costs a fortune and wrecks your gut, the solar panel that only works when you don't need it. All of them are designed to sell you a feeling, not a solution. The industry feeds this because scared people buy things, and it's profitable to convince someone they just need one more piece of kit. Expert preppers have been through the cycle enough times to recognize it. They've carried the heavy pack full of redundant garbage. They've realized in the field that half their gear was useless, and they've slowly stripped everything down to what actually works. What works is almost always simpler, lighter, cheaper, and more skill-dependent than what's advertised. A solid knife instead of a gimmick, real food instead of MRE bricks, normal clothes in a boring pack instead of tactical costumes, real cordage instead of jewelry, real power storage that doesn't depend on perfect sun. The gap between beginner and expert isn't about how much you own. It's about how much you know and how ruthlessly you've tested what you carry. Experts throw these 6 items away not because they're elitist or because they've moved on to more expensive alternatives, but because they've lived through enough situations to know what actually matters. And what matters is being able to move fast, think clearly, use your tools instinctively, and not be weighed down by the security blanket of unused gear. If you're willing to admit you own some of this stuff right now, congratulations, you're already ahead of 90% of people still shopping their way into a false sense of safety. You're not behind, you're just at the point where the real learning starts.